Hey guys, welcome to Becky's Garden Paradise. Today I'm going to bring you in my kitchen and show you how I make sweet pepper relish. So whenever I pickle peppers, unless I'm making something specific like pickled jalapenos, I love to use a medley of different peppers because you get different colors and flavors. So I first got interested in canning my own pickled sweet peppers from one of the Subways in my area. Not all of them, but one of them had pickled sweet peppers for a while. So I looked around and I found a recipe through the National Center for Food Preservation that's in Georgia. I believe it's through the University of Georgia possibly, but that's where I got the recipe, but I tweak it. Sometimes I make the traditional pickled sweet peppers as the recipe describes, but I also switch it up and make a sweet pepper relish. Today I'm going to make a spicy sweet pepper relish because it's going to be a mixture of some spicy and sweet peppers that I use. So this is a can of pickled sweet peppers that I made. It's a quart-sized jar that I made last year, and it has red and green bell peppers, it has cubanelle peppers, banana peppers, onion, and then I usually put a clove of garlic. Yeah, there it is. Clove of garlic in the bottom of each jar for flavor. And these are good on sandwiches, but you can also put them in like pasta salads. Put them like in with meatloaves are really good. Mr. B said that he used some of the brine from this, or the juice from the pickled sweet peppers, to marinate some chicken that he cooked, grilled it or smoked it, but he said that it gave it a really good flavor. So with those, the peppers, with the jar that I just showed you, the peppers are cut up into thin strips or rings or slices depending on the size of the pepper. When I make the pepper relish, I use diced peppers along with, like I said, onion and garlic for flavor. So I have one of these handy dandy, it's called an onion chopper. I got this from Walmart, and you put the onions or peppers, whatever you're slicing, in there, pull it down, and then what I like about it especially is that it has the measurements on the side. So I like to use about, depends on how many I'm making, 1 to 2 cups of onion. So right here I'm right at 2 cups of onion. You can see on the side. Another thing that I like about this is that it chops everything uniformly, so it's all in the same exact size, which if you have a little bit of OCD, that works. You can chop everything up by hand if you prefer to, though, or if you don't have one of these. But I used to chop everything up by hand, and then when I've had like days where I'm making batches of salsa, batches of peppers, all this, I realized that this really does save a lot of time. If some people have food processors, and you may be able to dice your stuff up in the food processor if you have one of those. So the peppers that I'm going to be using today are some store-bought sweet peppers. So you can see the different colors. Orange, red, yellow. I have a little bit of bell pepper because I made some food for us to have for dinner or whatever. So I'm keeping the extra pieces of bell pepper that I had, so there'll be a little bit of green bell pepper in there. And my friend Denise was going out of town, and these are peppers that she'd harvested from some pepper plants that she has in her backyard. So she was going out of town, knew she wouldn't use them in time, so she brought them over to me, and I said, oh yeah, I can definitely use these. It's a mixture of banana peppers, and then I can't remember what she said the smaller peppers are called, but they're a little bit spicy. I cut one up and used it in something I made yesterday, and I felt the burn on my hand, so they have enough heat to make your hand burn. But I think it's going to go great with the spicy sweet pepper relish that I'm going to make. Alright, the other 2 peppers that I'm going to use are these little tiny jigsaw peppers that you saw me, or you may have seen me harvest in my video a couple days ago. It was called like early morning harvest or something like that. So these are purple, little tiny purple peppers. And the plants that they grow on are variegated green, cream, and purple leaves. So these are supposed to have a spice that's similar to the spice of jalapenos. So that's going to add color and flavor to our pepper relish. And then I have these 3 beautiful cubanelle peppers that I harvested in my backyard a couple days ago. So they've been rinsed. These are going to get diced up along with all the other peppers. So some things that I want to share about canning, if you're new to it or just getting into it, is that it heats your house up. So, and you know, a lot of times we're harvesting vegetables in the heat of the summer. So especially here in Florida, it's super hot, like, I don't know, 98 with a heat index of 100 or plus. So our air conditioners have to work extra hard to try to keep it cool in our homes during the heat of the day. So I don't recommend canning during the heat of the day, just like, you know, a lot of people try to avoid running their dryers if their dryers are inside their house. Avoid, you know, turning on your oven during the heat of the day, because that's just going to make it harder for your air conditioner. So what I am doing, and what I do a lot of times when I'm canning, is that the process can take time. It's not hard, but takes time with the prep work when you're preparing the vegetables or fruits that you're going to can. So a lot of times what I'll do is prep ahead of time. So like right now it's the heat of the day, and I'm not going to get my canner going or, you know, boil the brine for these peppers right now, but I'm going to go ahead and get everything, all the peppers cleaned and chopped up. The onions are already chopped up. You can see this. It's a mixture of white and red onions. I grew the red onions and then bought the white or sweet onion that's in there. So I'm going to have everything chopped up, and I'll put it in a Tupperware container and put it in the refrigerator so that this evening, when the sun goes down, when it cools down, you know, I can have everything set up and ready to go. So that once it cools down, then I'll heat up my canner and the brine. So I'll have an idea of how many jars I'm going to make of the relish once I get everything chopped up and measured. And then I'll bring you guys back once I start filling the jars. Okay, so I diced up all the peppers and added them to the onions in a big Tupperware container. And then I cleaned all the jars, got my canner going, my water bath canner, and right now I'm heating up the brine and I'm getting ready to cold pack my jars. So I have 4 jars here to start with, and I put a clove of garlic in each one, and then I'll put a half a teaspoon of salt in each one. I don't know if I'm gonna get a 5th pint, or if I'm gonna have enough for a half pint. So my goal would be to have 5 pints, but it depends on how many I can fill with the peppers and onions that I have. So let me get my mixture out for you. So you can see the layers of all the pretty onions. I'm just gonna mix this up real quick and then load it into my 4 jars and see how much I have left and go from there. So the canner is ready. I'm waiting on the brine to heat up while I get the jars ready. So I'll be right back. Alright, so this is the pepper and onion mixture. Ooh, I lost a couple. Brooklyn's doing quality control, so you can see all the different pretty colors in there, and it's all mixed up really good. It's time to start getting them into our jars. So first I gotta add the salt. Whenever you're canning, gotta move fast. So I have timers going. Gotta boil the brine for a certain amount of time. I get everything hot, everything ready. Well, I don't need that for this. So I just put a half teaspoon of salt into each jar. I'm just paranoid on that because I think it was a little bit short on this first too. Okay. Make sure that it's just right because the salt is what's going to help preserve the ingredients. Alright. Now I have, give it another mix. It's pretty, has all different colors of peppers, different shades of green, yellow, red, orange. So it's going to be a really pretty relish. And it's good to put on hot dogs, sausages, put it in pasta salads. I've put it in empanadas. I've put it in meatloaf. And the funnel helps keep your rims of your jars clean. Ooh, that's too much. They'll settle down in there. Like if you pack them down, see, that one went a lot. Went down like ½ an inch. Alright. You just gotta leave the right amount of space between the top of your ingredients and the top of the jar so that they'll seal right. I'm planning on doing some videos on how I can stuff, like in more detail. So if there's anything, I just water bath can. I haven't pressure canned anything, so I can do pickles, salsas, jams, jellies, fruit, that kind of stuff. If I get to where I'm getting enough produce out of my garden that I have stuff I need to be able to put up, like if I got boatloads of green beans or whatever, then I would get a pressure canner and start doing that. But at this point, I'm not there yet. I settled it down, and I still have a good amount, which is awesome. That means, yes, I'm gonna have at least 5 pints. The recipes, gotta put salt in here too. The recipes give you an estimate of how many jars you'll get, but let me see. A lot of times I end up with less than what the recipe says I'll get. But I'm excited. It's exciting when you end up with more than what you think you're going to get. You could chop your onions and peppers up like this and put them in freezer bags. If you're a little bit hesitant about canning or don't know whether or not you like some spicy sweet pepper relish, I don't even know how spicy it'll be. Probably not very, honestly, because the vinegar and sugar will tone down whatever heat is in there, and most of the peppers were sweet. So I don't think it's gonna set anybody on fire. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna end up with 5.5 pints of this relish. So a lot of times, you know, with those small little pint jars, those are the good ones to give away as gifts, and people really like getting samples of the stuff I can. Alright, so I'm back. I have filled all the jars with the brine, and it was equal parts of water, white vinegar, and sugar. I went back and added the salt to the pint because I did not add it. I got so excited that I had enough for all the jars that I didn't add the salt before I added the peppers, but I did go back off camera and add that. And I'm wiping all the rims of the jars with hot boiling water. So this is a paper towel that I dipped in the boiling water from the water bath canner. Just going around all of them. Gotta wipe them off so they'll seal good. Some people use vinegar. I use it sometimes. Just depends. Most of the time I just use the boiling water though. Alright, so I have my clean lids. Just gonna start popping them on. The half pint is a wide mouth, and all the others are regular mouth jars. I might have to grab another lid and ring, but I'll go ahead and get these going. Before I go do that, I just want to show you this process. So I put my finger in the middle of the lid to kind of keep it centered when I twist the ring on. You don't want it like super Hercules tight. They call it finger tight. So I just twist it. Again, hold my finger in the middle to hold the lid in place, or put my finger in the middle to hold the lid in place. And then twist it until it's just tight. Just tight. And one more. I'm gonna have to go get a lid and a band for this jar. But I think they look super, super pretty. This is the hot canner. And gotta put my rack in. You could have already had that in. I just had taken it out when I filled it with water and didn't put it back. And whenever I go, like, make another video, more detailed, like, explaining in more detail how to can, I'll go over these tools that you see me using in case you're not familiar with them. If you have any questions about what you see me doing, why I do it, how I did it, let me know in the comments and I'll make sure that I go over that in my canning how-to video. But I think that's really, really pretty. Look at that. It's like Fiesta pepper relish. Maybe that's what I should call it, because it's so pretty and colorful. I think that is a fitting name. I'm putting all these in here. Once you put your jars in, you bring them back to a boil. Alright, so the jars finished in the canner. I processed them for 10 minutes. And then you got to take the lid off and let them sit for 5 minutes. The timer just went off. So they've cooled down enough for me to take them out. That's what I'm getting ready to do. I have a towel set up over on the counter. So I'll take them out with the tongs and leave them for usually 24 hours. Some people say you can move them or put them away after 12 hours. But I let them sit for 24 hours just to make sure. So I use a towel or hold a towel underneath just in case there's super hot water dripping. Go like this. And whenever you can stuff it, it's normal for it to float up to the top like that. It'll settle back down. So a lot of times when you can stuff, you'll have a gap. Like, well, space down at the bottom, that's just like broth or brine or whatever. You can see the garlic in there. The brine turned a pretty color from all the colorful peppers. Take this little half pineapple. I'm going to show you one up close. You can see all the colors and the pretty brine. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed canning with me today. Let me know what you think in the comments if you have any questions. If you have any interesting recipes for canning peppers, pickling peppers that you've tried. So thanks again for joining me, and I will see you next time at Becky's Garden Paradise. The first one just popped. You could tell they seal like this. The middle of this one looks sunk down. It didn't look like that when I first took it out. Oop, just heard another one. That's the snap, crackle, pop that you look for when you're canning. You don't have to stand here and wait for them to pop. Usually, you know, I'll move on to other things and don't listen for every single one to pop. But it's always reassuring when you do hear it pop. I just, again, think that the color of those peppers look really, really good. Oop, there you go.